I myself have never lost a job, actually, because I've never had a job. I've always worked for myself, right? But I know a lot of guys who have lost their jobs, and some people close to me have lost their jobs. And so I have, oddly enough, paradoxically enough, I have a great deal of experience with the issue of what do you do when you lose your job. First of all, you can't be fooling yourself. You can't act in a way that's just like, oh, everything is going to be fine and not worry about it and pretend that reality isn't happening, isn't hitting you upside the head. Okay, you lost your job. It doesn't matter what. Maybe the company went belly up. Maybe they caught you stealing. Maybe whatever. It doesn't matter why you lost your job. You have to face it realistically and realize that your life is going to change radically from the very day that you no longer are employed. The first thing you have to do is deal with the money situation. The second you've lost your job, you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to get any more income. So the money I have right now, that's the money that's going to have to last me until I get the next paycheck. Not the next job, the next paycheck. Okay? So everything that is not necessary, you cut it right away. As soon as you know that you have lost your job or you've been given your notice or whatever, what you have to do is shut down the money spigot. You're making a decent wage, right? Let's just say for the sake of this conversation that you're making $4,000 a month, right? Or you were until you lost your job, right? And you're not really saving much because it's very natural, especially when you're young, to be living at the limits of your financial possibilities. If you're earning $4,000, there are very few guys who are going to be spending only $3,800 or less per month. Most guys are going to be spending $4,000 a month on all kinds of crap that they don't need, right? What you got to do is you just got to start cutting out all of the unnecessary expenses instantly. The gym membership, all the stupid crap on your phone, the apps and whatnot, no matter how trivial. I mean, it might be $5 a month. All of it, you cut it out. All of the things that are not essential. What are the non-essentials? Easy. Everything that is not shelter or food. Everything else is non-essential by definition, yeah? Shelter and food, that's the essential. And even those you can cut down. You're living in an expensive place, right? Well, why don't you just move out of that expensive place and go to a cheaper rental? Assuming you're renting, of course, okay? Whatever it is, you just have to hunker down on the money issue, okay? And insofar as your credit cards are concerned, right? If you can, the smart thing would be to start paying off your credit cards to the extent that's possible so that you have those available lines of credit if your period of unemployment lasts too long. Yeah, because you see, right now, you're going to have as much money as you will ever have during the period of your unemployment. By definition, right? If you lost your job yesterday, say, right now is as much money as you're going to have until the next paycheck, right? So now, pay off your loans, as much as you can, your credit card, what have you. And you have student debt, what have you, set aside that money to keep on going, but also, before you do that, see if you can get like a waiver or an extension on your student loans. Every loan that you have, be it credit card, be it mortgage, be it student debt, what you want to be doing right away is figuring out a way to have a line of credit in case something happens in the future and push forward all payments, okay? All payments of the big expenses, especially in the student loans. The student loans, yeah, you might be able to pay those $500 a month now that you have a job, but now that you've lost a job, it's going to be a lot tougher. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what you want to do, is organize yourself financially. I mean, frankly, each guy is different, but what you want to have is reducing your expenditures and increasing your available lines of credit if your period of unemployment goes much longer than anticipated. Now, once you got your money situation more or less in order, the second thing you have to do is tell people that you are unemployed. Yeah, because a lot of times, see, it's going to be your friends and acquaintances and your various social networks that will be able to help you find another job. Yeah, that happens all the time. A lot of times, people in your industry or your business will be able to tell you, hey, you lost your job here, but I know a job over there. Go check it out, and bingo, there you go, and you're all set. Okay? You have to tell people that you're out of a job. And it doesn't matter how random the person might be. You tell them, and don't feel embarrassed about it, okay? Make a joke out of it. Everybody loses their job at one point or another in their lives, okay? And if you're capable and in your business you are perceived to be pretty good at what you do, you make it a point to tell the people in your line of work, in your business, that you are currently unemployed. And they are more likely than not to be able to point you in the direction of possible employment. I mean, especially if you're considered relatively good. You tell everyone. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't be ashamed of it. Okay, a lot of guys, they become unemployed. I remember knowing a couple of guys who had been unemployed for a long fucking time. And they just kept mum about it. They didn't tell anybody, right? And it was precisely because they didn't tell anybody, because they were ashamed of it, that opportunities did not present themselves to them. And they continued in their unemployment, for crying out loud. Pointlessly, needlessly. No matter how random the person, no matter who it is, you got to tell people that you're unemployed. And more to the point, and this is the hard part, by the way, you got to go out there and make yourself known to people. You got to reach out to as many people that you know. You know, everybody in your phone contact list or whatever. You got to reach out to all of them. Okay, touch base with them. Tell them that you're unemployed. Don't make a big to-do about it. Say that you're looking and all the rest of it, but tell them. Because what happens is that this period of unemployment that you're having, this is the golden opportunity to touch base with the people that you might have been neglecting because of your work. And precisely because you are touching base with all these people that you know, something might pop up. The third thing you have to do is, like Jordan Peterson said, clean up your room. Yeah, before you actually start looking for a new job, okay, the first thing that you should do, insane as it may sound, is to clean up your room. Yeah, and I know that it's Jordan Peterson's line and all the rest of it, but you'll find that what happens is that a lot of times that you're working really hard and things are going really well in your business or your career, what have you, right? And the mess in your personal life, in your house, your apartment, what have you, it just builds up, dirty dishes and half-empty coffee cups and whatnot, right? And you're not doing anything to clean it up. Well, now is the time to do it, okay? Now is the time to clean up your whole apartment and throw out the crap that you don't need. Treat your unemployment as a time for spring cleaning, to clean out all the junk in your apartment, to spritz it up, and everything that is not essential, throw it out. Yeah, of course, I mean, you're in survival mode, right? You're in survival mode, and so you got to survive, and you got to cut out all of the non-essentials. And cleaning out your room, dumb as that may sound, it actually helps you. It helps you to clear out your mind, okay? You are getting rid of all of the distractions. And grit your teeth, and for a solid day, just go through your entire place, throwing crap out, throwing all that which you do not need. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much junk has accumulated in your life. You'd be surprised how little you actually need, and you want that because you are in survival mode. If you're unemployed and you don't know where your next paycheck is going to come from, and you have limited resources, you gotta start cleaning up house as soon as possible and recognize that which is essential. That which is essential and that which is not necessary. The not necessary, to the waste bin, to whatever. eBay it, throw it away, whatever you need to do, get rid of it. And if you can throw away stuff and get some cash for it, even better. You'd be surprised, throwing out all this junk that you've accumulated, right, will make you feel lighter. It'll make you feel lighter and more to the point. See, if you have all this crap in your life, it'll start like drowning you in a weird way. In my own case, it's happened. In my own case, a few times where I went through some rough patches and things were looking really crappy for me, right? I sort of like hunkered down and I was like surrounded by junk. All this needless shit that was just accumulating. And I felt like I was drowning in all this shit, right? And for various reasons, I got around to all of a sudden just throwing out all this crap, and I just felt liberated. Absolutely. And in that same vein, what you have to do while you're unemployed is you got to be strict about your personal discipline, okay? You got to be running, you got to be taking care of your body, you got to be eating right, eating cheap. And by the way, eating right is often the cheapest way to eat. Getting your own groceries and making your own food as opposed to going to a restaurant and getting takeout, right? You got to be smart and you got to keep your shit together. Create a routine for yourself. A routine of getting up bright and early, 7 in the morning, going to bed at a reasonable hour, working out. You're not in a gym anymore because you can't afford it, but you can still, put on some running shoes and go out and run. You can still get, cheap weights for $20 on eBay and work out or whatnot. I mean, you don't need the expensive club to work out and be in good physical condition, right? So don't depend on that shit, but have a routine of being in shape and taking care of yourself and taking care of your environment, your home, your apartment, cleaning up your shit all the time, making your bed every morning. I know it's stupid, but those little disciplines help enormously with your mood. Because one of the things that you really want to be monitoring and controlling is your mood, okay? You're unemployed, you don't know where your next paycheck is going to come from, and you're going to get depressed, easily depressed, right? Even though you're doing all this activity and all the rest of it, it's going to be a cinch for you to fall into depression and feel just miserable about yourself. Because like I just said, I had never had a job myself, but I have gone through rough patches, and I know where I'm speaking, okay? So what you have to do is create for yourself a routine, keep your place tidy, spritz up, neat, make your bed every fucking morning like the good Dr. Jordan says, yeah? This will get you through. It will keep your mood up, or at least prevent you from sliding down into depression. So you're dealing with a money situation. You've told everyone you know that you're unemployed and you're touching base and going out there, being in touch with people, being social, right? And the third thing is that you're cleaning out your place, right? You're cleaning out your place, making it all spritzy and nice, and getting rid of all the crap that you don't need. What's the fourth thing that you need to do after you've lost your job? Well, you got to start looking for a new one, for crying out loud. Now, this, of course, depends on what profession you are doing, right? Whatsoever it may be, you're going to know it better than anybody, certainly better than me, obviously, okay? You got to go out there, though, and hit every fucking bell. Hit every bell. Don't think that, oh, I'm not going to approach this person or I'm not going to approach that person. No. You don't have the luxury to be choosy. No. You go out and find whatever is possible. Whatever is out there, you got to go out there and ring that bell. Ask for that position. Submit your name. Put out your resume. You're going to know how to do your resume better than I can tell you. And there are lots of places that can tell you that shit, right? So you don't need me to tell you that. But you got to hit everybody. And more to the point, don't be afraid to aim higher, to go for the job. Maybe you were here, this was your job. Go for the next step up. Yeah, go for it. See what happens. What's the worst they can do? They can say no. That's the absolute worst thing that can happen. A lot of guys think that they should only apply to the same position that they had. This is a mistake. You should not only be applying to the same position you already had, go for the next step up. What's preventing you? You already know what the next step up is in your profession, right? And potentially you've been in your level long enough that you can do the next step up. I mean, you've seen your boss or whoever it was that was doing that next step up. Apply to it. See what happens. What is the worst that can happen? They say no. That's the worst that can happen. Now, as to applying to positions that are lower than your previous one, don't be too proud to beg. No, don't be too proud to beg. Sometimes it's smarter to regroup, take a step back, take a lower position, but something steady, dependable, yeah. A lot of guys, when they start out being unemployed, they're like, oh no, I'm never gonna go a step down. No, that's beneath me. Yeah, but then 4 months later, 6 months later, they'd kill to get that lower position, but they've been out of the game for so long that nobody wants to take them at the lower position or even the position lower than that. Yeah, because sometimes what happens, and this is a terrible thing, you're unemployed long enough and people don't really want to hire you. They start smelling you and they think to yourself, this is rotten cabbage. This has been out for too long. I don't want to deal with this person. Yeah. That happens all the time. Yeah, I know a guy close to me, yeah? And this guy, very capable, but he was unemployed for over 2 years. And nobody wanted him. And frankly, it was some kind of miracle that he got a job after 2 years of being unemployed. Because the fact of the matter is that after like 4 months, 6 months, nobody wanted him because they figured that he'd been unemployed for so long for a reason. And this guy, he was very stupid in a lot of ways. He refused to take a position lower. He refused to do any kind of business or any kind of side action or what have you. He insisted that he could only get this kind of position, and so he waited and waited and waited, and over 2 years passed before he finally got something. Yeah? And he was a lucky son of a bitch for having gotten that job after 2 years plus of being unemployed, right? But the emotional wear and tear was catastrophic. Yeah, and this leads me to the final point of this video, which is look for a side gig, look for a new gig, look for something else that you can do. Whatever it is that you're doing, right? Whatever job you is, let's just say for the sake of argument that you're a lawyer, right? You're a lawyer and you're unemployed and you lost your job. Let's just say, okay? Now, you're unemployed and you're submitting your CV to different companies, different firms, different whatever, right? But can you do work on your own as a lawyer or as a whatever? Is it possible for you to do it, solo, right? If it is, do it. Why not? Okay, if you're a lawyer, for instance, and can work as a lawyer independently of a firm, then do that if you can. Okay, say that you're some other profession that requires a corporate structure. Well, then find some other thing that you can do to bring in income. Because your priority is twofold. You want to, number one, keep yourself busy. Keep your mind occupied and sharp, right? Number one. And number two, be bringing in income. Absolutely. I mean, I know now, for instance, that if I were ever in a situation where I've lost all my income, right? And I didn't know what to do. Everything is gone, right? And I'm unemployed. What would I do? Well, I'd be doing woodworking. Yeah, and I'd be very serious about it. As opposed to just farting around with it, I'd be really serious about making tables and chairs and doing handcrafted woodwork and trying to sell it. Yeah, that's what I would be doing. And I'd be very, very serious about it. Because, I mean, in the hypothetical that I have no income and there's nothing for me to do, right? My life is structured in a very different way, but you get my point. You see? You are unemployed. So you're going to have a lot of free time on your hands. Yeah, sure, you can be searching for employment, but that is not going to take you that much time. In any given week, it'll be only a single work week where you're going to do all your CVs and all this and that and apply to all these positions. You're going to have a lot of free time on your hands. So use that free time to do something productive, i.e. something that can potentially bring in an income, and more to the point, something that occupies your head. A lot of guys who are unemployed, they just sit around, they play video games and shit. They just waste their fucking time, right? And they get more and more depressed because no matter how interesting the video game, no matter how interesting the book, no matter how interesting the diversion that you are indulging in to eat up your time, right? Your head knows that it's just frittering away time. And time is the thing that is most valuable in a life. It's a finite amount, and no amount of money can get you more. So what you want to be doing is that if you're unemployed and all of a sudden you have all this free time on your hands, right? What you want to be doing is spending it on something productive, spending it on something that can potentially bring in revenue. I was telling you that if it were my case, right, I would be doing woodworking shit, right? I'm trying to build tables and chairs and sell them to people at overinflated prices, of course. But you see my point, see? You want to be occupying your time with something productive, not on video games, not even on reading. I mean, you guys know that I'm a big reader and I'm big on reading 50 pages a day and all the rest of it. Yeah, sure. But see, even that is not productive, okay? I mean, I know where I speak because there have been times when, like I said, I've been between projects, things have been sort of like stuck in my life, professionally speaking, and so far as money making is concerned, and I've been just sitting there stewing, waiting for things to happen, and it's been a misery, and I decayed. I decayed instead of using that time, that free time that I had, for something productive, something potentially outside of my comfort zone, outside of the box, outside of what I usually did, right? That's what you have to be doing. You have to be doing something that eats up your time and that is a potential revenue source, because money at the end of the day is what you need most. And finally, this is the final thing. Finally, whenever an opportunity pops up, the possibility of doing something different, and you're unemployed, grab it. Always say yes, no matter what it is, whatever project it is, so long as it doesn't require money from you. You never want to invest your money when you are unemployed. Never. Okay? You want to invest other people's money, other people's cash, because cash is the one thing that you cannot afford to lose, right? You're unemployed, you say yes to any opportunity, any situation. You say yes. And even if you might suspect, even if you're pretty confident that's going to be crap and it's not going to work out, even to that you say yes, because the experience and then just getting out into the world. And you'd be surprised, a lot of times just the act of getting out into the world will create opportunities for you. So do not say no to any opportunity. Anybody says that, oh, there's a chance of doing this or that, you say yes. I mean, frankly, what else do you have to do with your time? Losing a job is a terrible thing. Losing a job is a terrible thing because it makes you feel worthless. You have a job, and a lot of times, for a lot of men, their job is the embodiment of who they are. They derive their value, their sense of worth, social worth, from their job. And to lose a job is not anything to be taken lightly. To say, oh, he lost his job, big deal. A guy who's in his 30s, in his 40s, in his 50s, loses his job, and it's like losing 2 limbs. Yeah, it's no joke, and it's something to handle, and it's something that's really, really difficult. Really difficult to handle because we men, throughout our existence as a species, we have derived our sense of self from our work. Our work before was, hunting the woolly mammoth. Today it's working at some corporation or a law firm or wherever. If we lose that, we lose what makes us valuable. And that's like a dagger to our soul. But don't be afraid of losing your job. Don't be afraid of unemployment. Don't be afraid of starting over. You see, your life is going to have ups and downs. It's going to have these incredible highs, and it will have incredible lows. Unemployment is one of those lows, no question. Losing your job, losing your ability to make money and therefore make your way in the world, it is a heavy blow. And there are lots of guys who can sort of pretend to laugh it off, but they're just pretending, okay? It hurts. It hurts, even when it's not your fault, even when it's like the company went belly up because the CEO was an idiot, what have you. It still hurts. It still hurts. And so the worst thing that you can do is pretend that it's no big deal and pretend that, oh, everything will work itself out. No, you got to be proactive. Things will not work themselves out magically. You got to go out there, you got to push, you got to work to find work.